Hi, guys. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you. My Lord, you're looking at each other's. I see you guys going through like a whole conversation, and it's awesome. Let me just see how far back this goes. Hopefully you guys can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. If something's frozen, let me know. Hopefully it's working okay. Let me just check and make sure that you guys can hear me before I start welcoming all of you. Um, yeah, I think you guys can hear me. Okay, wonderful. Anybody, if you can't, hi Melkep, just saw you tune in. Welcome to the chat. If you guys can't hear me, I'm sure you'll let me know. But let me go back and acknowledge some of you. Hi Deb, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. Love the conversation beforehand. Raymond Vincent Garcia Jr., hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you as well tonight. I also see a very wonderful conversation happening between Deb and Raymond Garcia. That's wonderful. Hi, Joe. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you. And Cherry's Jubilee. Hello. Welcome. I also see the Retro Woman 80. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. Chrome Butterfly. Rabbit Billy. Hello. Welcome, guys. And Awesome. Thank you so much, Rabbit Billy, for confirming everything's okay. I appreciate you. Thank you, Deb. Appreciate you for that. I see Elizabeth, Ruby, and Phoenix. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Milka or Milka Hava. Hello. Hopefully, I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you as well. I'm sure as we go along, more people will sign on, and I'll acknowledge you and I'll acknowledge your comments. I just saw Mesh Love sign on. Hello, welcome to the chat. Says, I'm new here. Looking forward to the convo. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the chat. Hope you get all the support that I see going forth in these live chats every time I have them. So glad to have you. So glad to have you tonight. Elizabeth says, thank you, Tam, that you start the live so early so I can watch it as well. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Whenever I'm not seeing too many clients on my Friday, because I'm supposed to be off on my Fridays. If I'm not seeing too many clients, guys, then I'll start the live chat at like 6 o'clock because I know we're on different time zones and it can be a little difficult. So you're welcome, Elizabeth. I'm glad that was helpful. Deb says, tonight's topic is important because my mom has never been available, and I realize I haven't been emotionally available for my kiddo. Wow, that is such personal insight, and I think it's so humble. And you can grow that way because you're so open to seeing what it is that you've done wrong, or you're accepting of it, Deb. So that's fantastic. We're going to talk a lot about that. My goal is to wrap up at 6:45, and I literally put an alarm on. So hold me to that time, guys, if you can. Ruby Cubez, hello. I'm glad you caught the live as well. Welcome. Yeah, absolutely. Raven, I see that. Yes. Misty, hello. Greetings. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, you're welcome, Mesh Love. Okay, let me tell you why this topic is important and why this topic has come up. And I also want to dispel a couple myths as well as I go along, because I think this topic is so entrenched with societal beliefs, culture, political and feminist ideology. I also think there is a lot of societal practices, holidays that we kind of get sucked into, and we kind of what's the word? We kind of put all mothers into the same basket. We've developed like this social and cultural ideology, right? And it's like an umbrella, and we've covered every woman that has brought a child into this world under that umbrella, right? This is an analogy. The women are standing under this umbrella, and they have to live up to all of these societal and cultural expectations that we have set for them as women, and sometimes it just isn't there for them, right? I put in my description box when I put this live chat out a couple days ago, that we have kind of like this idea that all women who have children are mothers. And I think for most of us on this channel, we know that that's not true, right? Just because a woman can bear a child doesn't mean she's a mother. There's this psychological and emotional warmth that is often associated with a mother. And not all women have that. And that's not to say that all mothers should meet a particular idea or expectation, right? I'm just saying that the idea of mothers is that they are loving and that they are caring and embrace it, right? And so when a woman doesn't fit under that category, we tend to see them as permissive, harmful, emotionally and psychologically unavailable, immature, right? And the list just continues and continues. So this is why this important topic is being brought to the channel again. I've talked about this in the past, but I think I'm going to take a different angle tonight. So stay tuned for that. I also want to throw out there as a disclaimer that this doesn't include all mothers. I tend to be, and I want to be careful with even this statement I'm getting ready to make. I tend to have a very good mom, and I feel that I was eternally blessed to have a wonderful, dedicated, attentive mom. And I know that's not true for everyone. Now, as much as I love my late grandmother, we were close. She was the matriarch of our family. My mom didn't have a good experience with her mom. So some of my exposure to this topic is personal in a sense, because my own mother and my own uncle struggled for many years because of my grandmother's alcoholism, because of my grandmother's emotional needs, because of an affair that my grandfather had on my grandmother that really just broke up the entire family. And because of that, there was years and years of issues and issues between my mother and my grandmother. So there's a lot of stuff here, okay, personally for the therapist. But then there's oh geez, I hope the video is okay. I just saw it kind of bounce. Let me know, guys, if we're having issues. I'm not sure. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. I'll wait to see if anybody says anything. Hopefully we're okay. Um, okay. I think we're okay. Okay, I think it's okay. I'm going to keep going, okay, because I don't want to pause this too long and waste time. But, so I have a lot of personal issues over here with my family and being a therapist and watching my family. But then on this side of my life, I have the professional experience of 15 years, which is coming up here in December, of watching the mommy dearest mothers, watching the awesome, thank you, E. Dunlap, thank you for that. Awesome, Don One, thank you. Thank you, Cherry's Jubilee. Thank you very much, Deb. Awesome. Thank you, Mesh Love. Thank you so much. Okay. Maybe it was just on me. Maybe it was just on my end. Thank you for letting me know everything's okay. Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you for that. Thanks, guys. Okay, so then, with my 15 years of experience, I've seen a lot of mommy dearest situations where, most of you are probably familiar with Mommy Dearest, the movie where the mother was kind of like this obsessive compulsive personality where everything had to be so everything had to look good, feel good, appear good, be socially approved, be perfect, wonderful. Like, the woman who played Mommy Dearest, she's a fantastic actress because she really showed up this mom. And this mom wasn't only obsessive compulsive personality, which was really strict and rigid in her way of viewing things, but she was also borderline psychotic, and she put her daughter through a lot. And so I've seen that right in my office and in my cases. And so, you're getting a topic tonight that's well-rounded, I think, right? Because you've got my personal stuff in my family, my mother's family, my uncle, and then you've got my professional, experience to kind of, top everything off. So let me just go over a couple ideas before I go to the chat box, because I see you guys are having such an awesome conversation, and I want to jump in before it gets too backed up, So what kind of shapes our ideology of motherhood, right? Because we think moms are moms. They're wonderful, they're beautiful, they're embracive, they're loving, they're compassionate, they're everything, right? And that's just not the case. We know that. So what shapes that ideology that mothers are always good, that mothers never harm their children, that mothers would never intentionally abuse, would never murder their child, would never be jealous of their child? That's something that I've talked about on this channel a lot. Mothers who are jealous of their daughters, sometimes even jealous of their sons. We also have this concept that mothers would never overstep their boundaries and disrupt their child's lives, but that does happen as well. So what shapes our idea that mothers are always good? Well, I mentioned a little bit of it earlier. We have the feminist ideology, which says women are powerful, we're a certain way. And so that one track minded feminist ideology, as well as other political ideologies, kind of pumps mothers up to be positive and healthy and strong-willed and independent. And sometimes that kind of blinds the eyes of society, and we start saying if women are powerful and strong and independent and successful and wonderful, then they must be great moms. And that's not always the case. Sometimes the successful mother is the permissive mother. Sometimes the successful mother is the rejecting mother, and so that's something that kind of twists your mind, right? You're probably like, what? I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, sometimes the very women who seem powerful and wonderful in their professions are the women who go home and abuse their kids and yell at them and scream at them and call them names, and they're verbally abusive and they're emotionally neglective and they're permissive, meaning that they allow their kids to do any and everything. They run the streets and play in the neighborhoods without supervision. These are the kind of mothers too that can sometimes have adult children and they push them out of the house at 18 and they're like, go ahead and spread your wings, go to college, make mama proud. But really underneath that is the I want to be done raising kids because this is hard. I want to go party. I want to go date. I want to go get another education, right? There's sometimes within that successful mom that very rejecting parent, right? And sometimes it can be unintentional and sometimes it can be intentional. You know? So that's painful. The other thing that kind of shapes our ideology here is social practices like Mother's Day and Christmas and Thanksgiving, where mothers kind of take the powerful role, right? What Thanksgiving and Christmas commercial, let's think about this for a second. What Thanksgiving and Christmas commercial do you ever see that doesn't include a mom? There's always a maternal role, always. She's cooking, she's wrapping gifts, she's hugging the husband or she's doing something else maternal. There's always mom somewhere in the mix of a holiday. And, let's not fail to think about Mother's Day as well. That's such a painful holiday for some people. My mom, because we lost my grandmother 2 years ago, my mom has since struggled with Mother's Day because she doesn't have her mom. But then there's also these conflicting feelings too of, my mom wasn't always a good mom, but I miss her now that she's deceased, right? And I think my mom kind of goes through that every Mother's Day. For most of you, for most of you who can relate to this topic, you probably have these theories of, why do we have to make Mother's Day this huge thing? Why is there back-to-back Mother's Day commercials? Why are there Mother's Day movies going left and right? Why are we spending millions of dollars on Mother's Day? What created and blew up this holiday like this? And you have to think about the influence of social practices, right? Something we've all have gotten used to as a tradition. Politics, right? The money industry, right? It makes a lot of money. It does. Think about the Hallmark card industry, right? How many billions of dollars do they make on Mother's Day? So there's politics, there's money, there's social practices, there's political ideologies, and there's also kind of like this projection from, I think, mostly women all over, right? Most women project onto other women that you're a good mom, I'm sure you're a good mom, right? There's social groups who supports moms, right? So sometimes women support each other in that ideology that you're a great mom, no matter what. Kids are hard to raise. You're a great mom. And that doesn't work for everyone. I had a couple years ago a therapeutic group of moms. Okay, I've lived so many groups in my lifetime, it's not funny. This group was when I worked in a psychiatric hospital with adults who had schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders. And in this group, I led the mothers group. So this was mothers with schizophrenia group. They were very functional, highly functional moms. But the toxicity level, okay, 10 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. It was about a 10 every day because it was me understanding the intricacies of that mother's life. And the mother had been abusive sexually, psychologically, emotionally. They had sold drugs and did drugs and gone to prison for many years and abandoned their child, making bad mistake after bad mistake after bad mistake. After the first 2 or 3 mistakes, you continue to make the same mistakes. Something's wrong here, right? So some of those mothers in this group was like that. Some mothers sold their children, right? They were, for lack of a better word, clinical term, they were sex slaves for their parents to make money, to get drugs. So these mothers in this therapeutic group that I had really, really difficult histories. And yet they would support each other every day in the idea of, you're a good mom, you're trying your best. And that's not that was very toxic because these moms were not really trying their best. Yes, they had mental health conditions which really had little to do with their behavior. They had psychotic disorders of seeing and hearing things and believing things that are not true. But underneath that psychosis was selfishness, sociopathy, psychopathy, narcissism, fear of being a good parent, so they would drop to this mediocre level of being a parent. It was really a sad group of 10 women that was in this group. And they would support each other in the theory that you're a great mom, you're a great mom, you're trying your best, you're doing your best, you're a good mom. And that just wasn't the truth. So okay, let me take a break, guys. Let me go to the chat box, see what you guys are saying, and then I'm going to give you some content that you can kind of place it aside or alongside your own situation and kind of, decide, is this you? Is this your mom? Okay. So, oh my God, we're frozen again. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure we're not frozen. I'm going to say, are we frozen again, guys? And you guys can probably hear me, but my screen is probably frozen. I think we are. If I see somebody say we're frozen again, I'm going to, oh crap, I don't get it. Okay, so you guys can hear me but no video. Let me restart. All right, so I'm going to restart this. I am so sick of YouTube. So let me kind of restart on my end. Let's see what happens. All right, so I am restarting just to see if I can get this to go better. So hold on, guys, bear with me, okay? I'm afraid to hit the wrong button. I seriously am. Hold on, guys, okay? So my software is reconnecting to OBS and the screen is literally still frozen. Oh, it's so weird. Okay. Okay, thank you, Misty. Thank you, Melka Hava. Yeah, you can hear me very well, but the screen is frozen. Okay, I don't get it. I don't get it. So let me see if I can fix this, okay, guys? I just don't understand what's going on here. So I'm afraid to stop the stream because I'm afraid that it's going to interrupt the whole conversation, and I don't want to do that to you guys. So let me Yeah, it feels like there's a lag as well. This is YouTube, and they do it to me every single Friday. And so I'm gonna try to restart this whole thing. If you lose me, know that I'm gonna start and restart a new stream, okay? Yeah, I think it's still frozen. Can you guys hear? Okay, thank you very much, the Retro Woman 80. I can tell that you can hear me. Okay. So I can continue forward with just the audio. I think it sucks. It really does. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. I don't know why YouTube does this to me. I really don't. So, okay. So, okay. Thanks guys. I appreciate you. At least you can hear me. Let me push through cuz I don't know what else to do. All right. Give me 1 second. Let me try one thing. Hold on. All right, you guys should be able to hear and see me just fine. Oh, geez, just fine. So let me. All right, I'm moving. So let me know if this is better, okay? Let me know if you can see me or if we are frozen again. Yes. Okay, I restarted the entire system. Yes. Okay. I'm going to become a technological expert at this point. All right, let's jump back in, okay? I'm so sorry that happened. Let me go back to the chat box, okay? Okay. YouTube didn't get us that time, did they guys? All right, so let's go back a little bit here. Okay. So Mesh Love asks me the question, what are some practical steps to take to start to build your emotional intelligence to be emotionally healthy? I'm currently in therapy, but I feel as though I need more steps. That's a fantastic question. Let me just say, the best thing to do is, you can either ask your therapist to do this, Mesh Love, or you can do it yourself, which is to get supplemental educational material. Let me go back over that. You can ask for or just go into a bookstore and look for what's called supplemental educational information. And that is books, videos, YouTube channels like you're using mine, resources, different chat or forums online. You can do all kind of cool stuff like that. You can also ask your therapist to give you homework. I do that with my clients all the time. You can also ask your therapist to recommend some workbooks. That's another thing that you could do. I have tons of workbooks. Like all of you may like this one, so I'm going to show it to you. Here's a book, and this is not promotion by any stretch. But this is a book that I do have on hand. This is about the narcissistic personality. This is an awesome workbook, and it's a workbook for my clients full of activities. So sometimes what I'll do is, if my client is having a really hard time with their parent or their spouse or their loved one, I will say, you know what, let's go to this manual. Let's practice pages 1 through 7. Let's come back and then we'll do some review. And so you can do that as well. So I hope those suggestions are helpful. All right, let me keep going, guys. Ruba and E. Dunlap. I don't know if I welcomed you. Hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to see you on here tonight. Let me keep going. Marie B. Hello, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you and thank you for letting me know the screen was frozen. I can't stand YouTube at this point. Jessica J says, yes, this is sad and tragic. I didn't realize how fortunate I was. I thought everyone had a good mother like mine, but that wasn't true. Then in-laws are the worst people I've ever encountered. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that can be the case. If you have wonderful in-laws, that's a blessing. It really is. Hello, awake and peaceful. Welcome to the chat. So glad to see you. Luke, and Misty, hello, welcome, welcome. Nia Supernova, hello, welcome. Thank you for letting me know that my screen was frozen. I appreciate you. Um, Raymond Vincent Garcia Jr. says that sounded like my mom's group. He's referring to my group that I had years ago with the women who were supporting each other and being moms. And he says she neglected and did drugs, but her group said, "You are a great mom." Absolutely. And sometimes those therapeutic groups can be more harmful than helpful, and especially for mothers and fathers or just individuals who have personality disorders, those groups may not be healthy. Like, can you imagine having a whole therapeutic group full of people who have narcissistic personality disorder? They're just going to encourage each other in their behaviors. There's never going to be a real breakthrough, you know? So that's scary. Lisa Gutierrez, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I was trying to get that right. Hello, welcome to the chat. I apologize if I messed up your name. Says, learn from them, but don't become them. You have the power to choose. Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do have the power to choose. Am I going to be this kind of mother, or am I going to be a different kind of mom? Now, I'll give you an example of that briefly. My mom chose not to be like my grandmother. My mom didn't drink. My mom didn't smoke. My mom didn't do drugs. My grandmother never did drugs, but she was an alcoholic for many years, and then she stopped, and thankfully she became a Christian woman who was just all about her family and her church. So that was great. But for the majority of my mom's youth, right, from like I think age 12 all the way to around age 29, 30, my mom went through a lot with my grandma. And my mom decided and made up her mind and said, I'm not going to be that kind of a mom. So she's been a dedicated mother ever since. So you can choose. You can choose. Um, All right, Sage Warrior, hello, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you tonight. Says, will it allow you to switch to a lower quality video output? Oh, okay, for my video streaming, I think so. I think so. Just let me know what you need, what you mean by that. I might be able to adjust it in a different chat. I don't want to touch this chat. I'm scared to death it's going to get ruined. E. Dunlap says, I recommend a legal parental divorce and or no contact for years if you're in this situation. Absolutely. Sometimes a divorce is, it's just what it needs to be. Yeah. Yeah. I have a client right now who's dealt with that, and unfortunately the only thing she could do is file for divorce because there's no way around the chaos of her family. Ashley Walters, hello, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you tonight. Says, happy to see you. You are an amazing therapist. Thank you so much. I love that. So humbled by that comment. Thank you. That's wonderful to hear. Wonderful to hear. All right, let me keep going, guys. I just want to make sure. Thank you, Jessica J. I love you guys too. You guys are so great. Okay, okay. All right, I'm going to keep going. As long as you guys are okay, can hear me, everything is back. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, it's been cold lately. I just saw you. Hello, welcome to the chat, and thank you so much for all the prayers. I need them so desperately right now because all of you who follow me are so, so loving to check in on me. Just briefly before we get back into the content, I've had a concussion. I had a concussion for 2 months. Now I'm in post-concussion stage, and my symptoms have regressed. They have not gotten better. So the nausea is there, the dizziness is there, fogginess, the cognitive decline is kind of there a little bit. The fatigue is horrific. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, just for the prayers, and thank you. It's been cold lately for that. It's been cold lately. I really need that. So thank you. All right, let me get back into the content. Okay, so let me tell you what the research says, and then I'm going to give you all the characteristics of this kind of a mother so you can say, okay, that's my mom, or no, it's not my mom. Okay, so what does the research say? Well, the research says this, that there's a lot of theories of mothering, motherhood, parental alienation. There's a lot of information on, parent-child conflict and helicopter parents. There's a lot of research on the mother complex. Have you guys heard about that? It's I've seen it in two different ways. The mother complex. It's like, I might have such a toxic relationship with my mother, more so sons, that I began to, look for my mother in various, people. Sometimes in my therapist, sometimes in my relationships, my romantic relationships, sometimes in my friendships, and it's become kind of toxic, and then the mother complex can also just be, I have mommy issues and I don't know how to navigate that in my life. So research talks a lot about the mother complex. It also highlights emotional warmth and control in mothers. We talk a lot about that in psychology. We also talk a lot about the authoritative versus the authoritarian parent. Let me kind of pull this apart for you a little. The authoritative mother is the mom who says, I'm not going to beat you. I'm not going to humiliate you, abuse you, but I am going to raise you. I am going to be that mom who is there to love you, but there's also a boundary, and I'm going to make sure that you understand that boundary. That's an authoritative parent. An authoritarian mother may beat you, abuse you, threaten you, harm you, and make you so fearful that now you want to run away and have nothing to do with that mom, right? So there's some research around authoritative mothers versus authoritarian mothers. There's also tons of research on the over-involved mother and the under-involved mother. So the over-involved mother is, I'm going to choose your spouse. I'm going to manipulate everything in your world. I'm going to see to it that you live a life that I want to live through you. I'm going to see to it that you do everything I want you to do to make me proud. The under-involved mother says, go and do your own thing. I really don't care. If you want to marry the person down the street and have about 20 kids, without being married, go ahead. Good luck to you. If you want to do drugs and become an alcoholic and go to strip clubs every night, good luck. Tell me how it goes once you're done. That's kind of like the under-involved parent. On a more, realistic scale, an uninvolved parent might be that mom who doesn't show up at your wedding because she's too busy partying over there at the club, or the mother who sleeps all day because she's depressed and makes you go handle the cooking, the cleaning, the picking up the dry cleaning, the picking up your siblings from school, that kind of thing. So, research focuses a lot on the over-involved and the under-involved parent. So we have all these theories and concepts of motherhood, right? So where's our research on mothers who are not good? Well, there isn't any. There's a lot of historical research from Sigmund Freud. He talks a lot about the Oedipus complex. He talks a lot about the hysteria that women can sometimes, that he saw in his research, could sometimes experience, that could impact their relationships and their mothering. You have Carl Jung. He's done some research. He's also done some research studies on the mother complex. And we also have trauma therapists all over the world who understand what complex PTSD is, and PTSD, and how narcissistic and sociopathic mothers can impact their children. We don't have a lot of research. Here we go again. I feel like I sing this song every live chat. We don't have enough research on why not all mothers are good. We lack that specific, dedicated research that says not all mothers are good. The only time you're going to see the research that not all mothers are good, again, is within like small areas of the field of psychology, like I said, Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. They're like a small group of people who have done some research in the past, or researchers or professionals, I should say. Then we also have the trauma field, and we also have child abuse studies, child neglect studies. We also have domestic violence studies that talks about parenting, but we lack that specific research that says, here's the kind of mother that's a bad mother. And, if you ask me why that is, I'm going to be honest and just say I have absolutely no idea. Other than the fact that, again, we have all these social and cultural and political pieces to the puzzle that says mothers are always good. Mothers are positive. Mothers are not perfect, but they're mothers, they're good. So that's the sad reality of that. Now, the research that I have attached to this live chat tonight, I'm going to make sure that I post it in the description box so you can have it as well. Let me go through what these mothers who are not very good look like. And our research backs up these theories, okay? The first thing that you are likely to see in really unhealthy moms, and probably in different people in your life as well, but for this video, we're talking about moms, right? So the first thing that you are likely to see is something known as projective identification. Projective identification. That is basically this, that what's in me, I am now projecting onto you as my adult child. What is in me, I am now projecting onto you, right? You may hear this kind of a mommy dearest mom say something to you like, I should have never had you. You're a failure. That's really what they feel about themselves. Most likely, they feel, I should have never been born because I'm a failure, right? So flip that around, and you're probably going to get how they feel about themselves. Projective identification. It's, I'm going to project what I feel, think onto you as the child, as the adult child, and hopefully that sticks. You know, it kind of makes me feel better about who I am as a mother. You can also kind of see scapegoating as a piece of this too, right, guys? Because scapegoating is this, it says you're the issue, not me, you're the problem, when the reality is that no, the whole family unit is the issue, right? So projective identification says this, you are the issue, when in reality they probably feel that same way about themselves, that they are a failure, that they're a problem. You may also hear these kind of parents who are using this projective identification. You could probably think back in your own situation and hear your mom saying, you made my life really difficult. It was hard raising you, it was hard being a single parent, and you have done nothing but disappoint me. The reality is probably that they feel like a disappointment on the inside of themselves, right? And you may have also heard something like, why don't you get a job? Why don't you do better in your life? Why didn't you become, as successful as A, B, and C over there? Like, they're successful. Why couldn't you push through college? Why'd you drop out? When the reality probably is that they feel like a failure, right? They don't like the way that their life has ended up. So they're projecting that onto you. Projective identification. The next thing is the rejecting parent. The rejecting parent. Nope, I don't want anything to do with you. Stay over there. Don't bother me. I'm comfy here, and I'm not going to stretch outside of my boundaries. I'm not, because I'm content. So you go over there, I'll stay here. And good luck to you in life. I hope you get along well. That's the rejecting parent. Also, too, the passive and permissive parent, the one who is kind of passive aggressive. They make all these noises, grunting noises, and they huff and they puff and they stomp around and they slam things down and they text you 9 million times a day, or they track all your moves and all your steps, or they kind of take all your mistakes and throw in digs here and there when you least expect. Or they highlight and exaggerate your failures in front of other people. That's passive aggressive aggression. All of those things is an example of a parent who is engaging in projective identification, but who is also unhealthy and unstable. And our research supports this. The overly driven parent. I tend to be a driven person. My grandmother, my late grandmother, was a driven person. A lot of people who are successful are driven. There is nothing wrong with that. But here's the issue, guys. If you have an overly driven parent, right, what happens to you? While that parent is over here running the race of going to work every day, making all the money, paying all the bills, managing all the responsibilities, right? Where does that leave you? Were you a latchkey kid? Were you the kind of kid that was over at the neighbor's house every night between the time you got out of school to the time it was time to go to bed? That's not to make good mothers who may be single parents trying to do it all feel bad at all. I praise and respect and support those parents, but sometimes there's those narcissistic parents, right, who love success and they are addicted to success and they want that. It's a shiny new toy for them, and they love the social approval that they get as a result of working every day and working long hours and being at the office and being at the hospital all day. And those kind of vain and selfish, narcissistic kind of parents are overly driven, and they push you to the side because they rather pursue that than be that parent that has to deal with you all the time, every day, and be a parent, right? We also have the obsessive compulsive personality parent. the Mommy Dearest. I'm going to post a link to the video Mommy Dearest, the whole movie. You can see it for free on YouTube in the description box for you so you can watch it. But the obsessive compulsive personality parent is the parent that says, why is your hair messed up? Fix your hair. It's out of place. Maybe it looks good. Maybe it looks good. But your parent will find that one small hair and they're like, licking their fingers and trying to rub it in and make it look good. Make sure your hair looks great. For you guys out there, make sure your tie is tightened right. Don't go out of the house without your shirt tucked in really good, or make sure your forks and your spoons are all lined up in the drawer perfectly, right? Because if not, I'm going to judge you. I'm going to say you're a slob. I'm going to say you're irresponsible. That's an obsessive compulsive personality parent. I'm rigid. I have a different order that I think life should go in, and if life doesn't go the way that I say it should, something's wrong with all of you. Not me, all of you. And I'm really rigid, and I probably will never change the way I see life or think. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Most parents who are not healthy and positive, tend to have absolutely no transformations over the time of their lifespan, right? Immature and emotionally unavailable parents never transform. They stay immature, they stay stuck, they stay, kind of stubborn for a very long, long time. They're not going to transform. Most of us as humans, we make mistakes, we get up, we make another mistake, and then we stop making them because we see what we've done wrong and we can bounce back and be better, right? We transform and we grow over time. Unhealthy, I'm going to throw this out there, bad mothers never transform. They stay stuck in the same spot forever because they're not actively working on themselves, right? They're content where they're at. Or they don't feel that it's necessary to put the work in to change. We also have the possessive and withholding parent, right? They don't want you to do anything in life. They don't want you to be a certain place in life, so they kind of hold you back. It's kind of like the parent is like holding on to your cape or the back of your shirt, like, no, 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 no. Stay back here with me. Don't go anywhere. Don't do anything. Don't get married. Don't have a life, right? Stay back here with me because this is where I think we're both comfortable, right? So that possessive and withholding parent. There's also the infantile dependency, and I see this so much in my practice. The infantile dependency. I need you to be my mother. I need you to be my father. I need you to be my therapist. I need you to be my support. And my mom hates this word, but it's emotional incest, right? It's this you be there for me. I'm not going to be there for you. The roles are turned. You be there for me. And maternal filicide. Now that's really hard to wrap your mind around, right? Maternal filicide. It's when a mother either somehow has a mental health condition that never was taken care of before she was pregnant, or postpartum depression with postpartum psychosis mixed together, or we have a parent who's a narcissist or a psychopath who murders or kills or refuses to prevent the death of a child. Maternal filicide. Okay, there's a lot of you tuned in. Let me get to the chat box. Let me see what you guys are talking about, and then we're going to wrap up. Some of you are probably like, oh my God, this is me. Okay. So, Courtney Frazier, let me get a drink, guys. Hold on. And we are literally on time. So I'm going to try to wrap up at 6:45-ish, 50-ish Eastern time. So Courtney Frazier says, why do parents try to deny how much help and support you really need? Fantastic question. Here's my alarm. I'm going to snooze it. Why do parents try to, what was your question, Courtney Frazier? Why do parents try to deny how much help and support you really need? That's a multifaceted question. Let me give you just a little bit of an idea. Part of this is because if a parent acknowledges that you need help, that is hard, right? Because they feel like the judgments come back on them. You must have not been a good parent. Your mental health must have been bad and you passed it down to your kid. You obviously didn't raise your kid right, or you did a very poor job at raising your kid or helping your kid or not helping your kid. So that's one component of that. The other component could be the parent is blinded, right? You're their kid. And so, no, you don't have a problem. None of my kids ever have issues. You guys are normal. You don't need help. And so sometimes pride and arrogance is there, and that's what causes the issue, right? So that's my brief explanation for that. Why do parents try to deny how much help and support you really need? Pride gets in the way, or they can't see it because they're so close to it, right? And sometimes they don't want that judgment falling back on them. When I see kiddos in my practice right now, I see kids ages 5 to 20, and then after that I see the adults. But my 5-year olds all the way to my 20-year olds, they have parents who are still denying their mental health issues, their challenges. And I hate to say this, and this is no shade or dirt towards fathers or men, but for the most part, it's the dads that say, "You don't have a problem. Nothing is wrong with you. What are you talking about? The therapist diagnosed you with that? Oh my God. Isn't that unethical? She's only seen you once or twice." It's typically the dads. The dads are the "nothing's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You're good." And I don't know if that's cultural, if it's pride on their part or what, but it's usually the dads and the mothers who are not good. They will sometimes also drive that as well. "You don't need help. You're fine. We don't ever have mental health needs in this family." So I hope that kind of answered it, Courtney Frazier. Seiki Rubio, hello, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you tonight. I'm sorry if I missed you earlier. Says, just a couple months ago, I was in pain. I was in pain meds that were finally working on me, but she went to a social worker in a completely different area. I probably missed. Oh, you're saying that your mom went to a social worker in a completely different area and convinced, where did you go? Here you are. Convinced them that my pain was fake and I wanted attention, so they took me off. Depending on how old you are, she really isn't supposed to be able to do that. If you're under the age of 14, or there is no legal agreement that you've signed that says your mother can speak on your behalf, she should not be able to go to a provider and say that you are drug seeking or that you are trying to manipulate the system. That is really for the therapist and the professional to make the judgment. There are times in my past when I did work with hardcore adults, adults with personality disorders and schizophrenia, where the parents did come to me and say, "Hey, we need to get our kid off Haldol because they're abusing it." And the kid was like 25 years old, and the parents are calling me and harassing me on the phone and emailing me, and my approach has always been, "I'll talk to you, but I can't divulge any information, and I'm not going to stop my treatment of that client or that patient because you're not my patient. I have to be able to assess my client, my patient. You don't have the right to tell me to take my patient or my client off of any medication." So I would definitely question that. I would question that, Seiki Rubio. Pretty girl, thank you so much for that compliment. Thank you. Joanna, hello, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you tonight. The nurse who loved me, 89, says, "I think someone said about emotional intelligence. If anyone else is alexithymic." Oh, okay. Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown is awesome for adults trying to learn emotions. Thank you so much, The Nurse Who Loved Me 89, for that recommendation. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I love when you guys do that. Ruby Cubez says, "My mother is silent treating me because I refuse to be her therapist and emotional mother. She always turns distant and cold when I really need her." Yeah, and you almost have to ask yourself, I'm very sorry to hear that. You may have to ask yourself this question: why does she need me to be her mother and her therapist so much? is there some kind of is there some kind of trauma here that's unresolved that makes her this way towards me? And if so, I need to try to like back up from her. So I'm glad you set that boundary. You also want to think too, if you're dealing with a mommy dearest, right? This kind of a mother is selfish, and so you serve them, they don't serve you. And so once you recognize and accept that, okay, this is a very selfish mother, then you can kind of you can backstep or kind of back your way out of that situation or that bind with that parent. It's definite something is going on. It's been cold lately says having a healthy family is so beyond a blessing. I'm not in contact with a single family member. Therapy was my only guidance in life. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that, but you seem like such a wonderful person. It's been cold lately, so obviously something worked in your favor. I'm gonna tell you, my family has been on a roller coaster ride for years, and especially with my extended family, like we're so broken up in this family, and I think it's just intergenerational trauma that's never been dealt with within my family, my extended family, on both my mom and my father's side. Get that? So you really have somebody here with some experience with this, but it's hard when you don't have that mom that you can rely on and you can lean on. It makes life really difficult. But what is a blessing, it's been called lately, is when you can find channels like this, or chat rooms or chat forums like this, where you have other people that says, you know what, it's okay, I'm going through it too. And the fact that you have therapy to help you along the way. So I hope that was encouraging to you. I'm really glad that you have made it okay so far. It sounds like you have. Every chat, it sounds like you're doing well. Hi, Ellie Wynn. Hello. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you as well tonight. Joe has a question for me. She says, how do we not pass this on if we don't have the foundation that we have learned from? Yeah, absolutely. So one step is doing what you're doing tonight, Joe, which is being on this live chat with all of these different people who are watching and tuning in and chatting and commenting and really learning and soaking up this information. You also can get into your own therapy and say, here's my trauma, how do I prevent it? If you're self aware, you can also, work on yourself, right? Am I irritable and angry all the time? Am I moody? Am I selfish in some ways? Do I really seem to be shallow and fickle and vain and narcissistic in some ways? How do I read, learn, and grow for me so that I don't pass this on to my children, or I don't affect my husband or my wife with this kind of family trauma? Because that's what it is. So the only thing that you can do is preventative therapy, Joe. Books, getting into therapy, looking for your own signs and symptoms, and having your ear open to people who love and care about you who may say things about you. That's really all you can do. Dawn One says, nobody deserves to be repelled by their parents. Absolutely, 100% agree. I may have mentioned this too before. Refrigerator mothers is a term that previously was used in the field of psychology to describe mothers of children who have an autism spectrum disorder. It's all incorrect. It's all wrong. It was the wrong terminology, because we know that autism is not caused by cold mothers or mothers who never hug their children, and the list goes on. But back in the day, back before I was born, the term refrigerator mother was existent, and it described these really distant, apprehensive mothers who could care less. They never talked to their babies, they never hugged their babies, embraced their babies, and it caused all these psychological issues in the child. We don't call it refrigerator mothers anymore. I think we've become a little bit more sophisticated, and so we just call them narcissists. But they used to be called refrigerator mothers. Satara's love, hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. I don't remember seeing you, so welcome. Moanne, hello, welcome to the chat. I almost missed you. Glad to have you tonight as well. I'm signing off in a little bit, but I'm so glad that you guys are still like chatting and chatting. I love to see all the support that you guys are giving to each other as well. Dragon Man Sasson, hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight as well. Marthea Wells, hello, welcome. You're welcome, and thank you for that comment. That's so sweet. Yes, I love Jessica J's comment. She says, sending love to those of you that have been so brutally abusive or abused in your life. Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that sentiment. The Retro Woman 80 says, I definitely have sought mother figures throughout my journey that had more tenderness and patience than my mom showed when I was very young. Yeah, absolutely. Some of us are trying to go through what's called reparenting ourselves. I have a video that I did on this channel a while back. I'll try to find it and post it later, on reparenting yourself. And, the process of reparenting is painful, because in that process of reparenting and trying to undo the damage your mother did to you, you can kind of step in some pretty deep ruts, right? You could get into the wrong relationship because that person makes you feel tender love that you didn't have from your mom. You can get into a transference relationship with your therapist who's motherly. I'm a warm motherly kind of a person to younger people who are younger than me. And so I have had at least 5 cases in the past where the kids didn't want to stop therapy. Why? Because they just loved seeing me every week. And I realized at a certain point, this is more of a, I'm holding my boundary as a therapist, but the child sees me as a mother figure. And so my warmth when they hug me, when I put candy out on the waiting room table, or cool games we play together when they cry and I hold them when they cry, all of that stuff in the past has it kind of led to some of my previous kiddos seeing me as a motherly figure, and that can cause transference if your therapist doesn't know how to navigate that. Thank God I did with help and support and supervision. But some therapists can't handle that. So you can step into a rut with a therapist, you can step into a rut with a coworker, a best friend, the list goes on, because you need that love from a mom. And that void is so, it penetrates the soul, doesn't it? Because I think a mom is just a mom. A dad will never be able to fill that void of a mother. You can love your dad, be close to your dad, but I just strongly believe that the void of a mother is just a void, and it remains there no matter what. No matter what. Sage Warrior says, my mother hid her abuse, covert narcissism behind being a preacher's wife. I was her scapegoat. No one should be put on a pedestal. I was no contact to protect myself when she passed away in August. My goodness. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm also sorry for what seems to be your first loss, which is not having the mother that you've needed and you've wanted, and then having to deal with the abuse and the narcissism. Let me just say, and I hate to say this because I'm not a preacher's kid, but I'm a preacher's grandkid. Okay, and my mom is a minister in her own right, and my grandmother was religious. My whole family's Christian. Like, okay, so I know religion, in and out. Religion is tricky, right? And I don't really like religion. I love spirituality, and I do live my life as a Christian. I just don't like religion. That organized fashion of pumping people up and making the bishops feel like they're gods and worshiping human beings and really losing track of the spirituality and religion, right? Okay. So I don't like that. I don't see a lot of, what's the word, research on the detrimental impact of religion. So you can have a first lady of a church, you could have a female leader of a religious sect or group who is just abusive, right? But you can get pulled in, and you can also be emotionally drawn to that female because you have that mother void. And in some churches and in some sects and religious groups, that's what happens, and that's how religious abuse occurs, and also what's called religious trauma, because that, again, that void of wanting a mother is not, it's not filled. And so maybe that first lady of the church is who you thought you could trust, and they're detrimental. Or maybe that woman who leads that spiritual group that you thought loved and cared about you really is evil. So that's another rut, guys. That's another rut. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sage Warrior. All right, let me keep going. We're going to wrap up. We're literally at 7 o'clock p.m. And I intentionally went over time. No, not at all. Hi, Sammy. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. Says, I'm late. Sorry, I forgot. You don't have to be sorry. I'm so glad that you even tuned in on your Friday. That's awesome. Thank you. Let me just skim and make sure I'm not missing anybody. Hello, Sean Hammer. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you as well. Thank you for the hearts. Love back to you. Okay, excuse me, I'm just skimming. Hello, Daisy. Welcome to the chat. I see you detracted your message, but I just want to acknowledge you. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you tonight as well. Phoenix says, much love and hugs to all that need it from their mom. That's so sweet of you, Phoenix. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Awake and Peaceful says, my mom was the one that amplified my failures more than accolades and acted so well like she was the perfect single mother who sacrificed everything but really was abusive in more ways than one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes abusive moms, again, they're very narcissistic and they want to look the part even though they're not the part. And so their accolades or sometimes their support of your endeavors is to allow the accolades to fall back on them so they can say, see, I was a good mom, see. And that's like that's like to me it's evil. It's saying I'm not going to support you emotionally, psychologically, or literally, or maybe I will support you but it's with a price tag, because I want to be praised in this whole thing, you know. So, and sometimes evil parents will amplify your failures. Projective identification, remember that term, projective identification. Yeah, thank you, Don One. Don One says it's time to stand strong and love self esteem. Yeah, absolutely. Once you learn what kind of a mother you have, then you can stand strong and say, you know what, I need to go a different route and I need to be a different mom. I just said to a client this week that I talked to who had a traumatizing upbringing under both parents, I said, thinking of having a child is wonderful and it gives you the opportunity to be a very different mother. So it's healing and in and of itself sometimes to become a mother because then you can parent that child the way you never were parented yourself. So that can sometimes be very, very healing, that whole process. All right, guys, I see so many comments. Please post the rest of your comments in the comment section for me under this video, and I will get back to you. I see that I'm frozen again. I'm so sorry. I hate YouTube. I got to figure this out why this is happening. But I'm going to sign off, guys. I welcome those of you who I didn't get a chance to acknowledge. A welcome to the chat. You're welcome. I see your thank yous. I'm sorry the video froze again, but I'm so glad that we could have this conversation tonight. Love you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. No video on Sunday because I think this live chat is going to be powerful enough, and I think a lot of people need to see it. So I don't want to do a brand new video and erase this one. So I'll see you soon. Okay, guys? Love you so much. I'll see you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.